What Mercedes just revealed for 2023 is insane. I'm sure that many of us are fans of Mercedes. It was too difficult for us to see Mercedes underperform this year. We as fans had to accept the reality that Red Bull and Max Verstappen dethroned Mercedes. But Mercedes has an insane surprise regarding the transformation of W14 for all those who were disheartened. Toto Wolff insists Mercedes' work should fix W13 chassis problems. There are changes in the DNA of the F1 car for 2023. In other words, the W14 looks completely different. Mercedes has only 3 races left to avoid going into their first winless season in 11 years. It was redesigned after they found it difficult to compete with Ferrari and Red Bull under the technical constraints of 2022. However, as the campaign progressed, the team improved and moved closer to the top. Mercedes underperformed in 2022, with Red Bull and Max Verstappen taking their place. They're looking into ways to bring back the championship they missed this year. As it stands, it looks like Mercedes will be the focus of attention next season. They are the only top team to calmly come together under the pressure of last season. Red Bull lost team balance towards the end of the season, and Ferrari lost its team boss. Mercedes looks like it'll be back to its best in 2023. Let's find out how Mercedes is back in top form in its next season. As such, the 2022 F1 season at Mercedes was surprisingly comparable to Ferrari in 2005. Both teams have just had unprecedented success, with rule changes in both seasons and a blast. Note, however, that the changes in 2005 were tweaks rather than full-blown revolutions that year. Both teams won just one race and finished third in the Constructors, while the other team was in contention for the title. In response to the disastrous 2005, the Ferrari reappeared in 2006, battling Renault and Fernando Alonso. Mercedes is well prepared for 2023. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell have all their ingredients needed to frustrate Max Verstappen's attempt to become the 6th driver to win 3 consecutive drivers' championships. Red Bull penalties have to be dealt with. Mercedes, on the other hand, have learned more about the new rules and their cars over the last year. Red Bull's main problem in the new season is the development penalty that it has to deal with. The team's wind tunnel and CFD allowance has been cut as punishment for exceeding the cost gap in 2022. As built champions, Red Bull was already gearing up for faster development times under the new tier. With 10 penalty points, they gave both Mercedes and Ferrari a huge advantage over Christian Horner's Milton Keynes team. They will provide Mercedes with only 63% of the simulation, with 80% of the allocation and a 17-edge advantage. Ferrari has a quota of 75 for second place in the Constructors' Championship. This is a big chunk of development in favor of Mercedes. That means Red Bull and Technical Director Adrian Newey must ensure that no more valuable allocations are wasted on problems that may arise. Meanwhile, Ferrari must gain momentum under the control of a new team boss. But they lost their best technical engineer, Mattia Benetton. Another concern for Red Bull and Ferrari is that after the W13's initial problems, Mercedes won't fall as far behind them in 2022. The one already fixed in the car design in October 2021. Aerodynamic adjustments made up for that mistake until later in the season when they fixed it. But Mercedes was well aware of the problem and its solution. The improvement package for the U.S. Grand Prix works well and gives the team a solid foundation for W14. Toto Wolff admits the team has already changed ideas mid-season after ruling out 2022. One thing Mercedes can be proud of is excellent reliability. Because if it had one crack in its Red Bull armor in 2022, it was the team's early credibility issues. The same goes for Ferrari, whose engines are unreliable throughout the season. Verstappen and Sergio Perez retired on the last lap of the opening race in Bahrain. The world champion was eliminated in round 3 in Australia. Perez also leaves early in Canada. Mercedes was pretty much bulletproof all season. It only has one mechanical DNF. That's exactly what happened in the final in Abu Dhabi when Hamilton ended its worst season with a hydraulic failure on lap 55 of his 58. Ferrari, on the other hand, experienced repeated failures at key stages in the early and mid-seasons and had to reduce the performance of their power unit to prevent failures in the final races of the season. If Mercedes can improve in this area, they can squeeze more performance out of their products while maintaining an excellent reliability record. In addition to Mercedes' incredible reliability, Red Bull also has a motivating factor. Mercedes has an edge over other teams. The chemistry between Red Bull's drivers was friendly until Brazil, but the pursuit of second place in the Drivers' Championship ultimately fell through after Verstappen refused Perez's help. In Verstappen's opinion, the intent to deny Perez a shot at the bar in Monaco qualifying was thwarted. Verstappen is firmly established as the #1 driver and is unchallenged by Perez at Red Bull. Things are different with Mercedes. Hamilton and Russell have a strong teacher-student relationship, handing over all his expertise and experience to Man, who leaves Silver his arrow later in the decade. Russell, on the other hand, is not submissive to Hamilton, them having taken the Mercedes sole pole and position in Hungary and won in Brazil this season. However, the driver relationship is different. Drivers are allowed to take command of their teams when conditions permit. Given the current state of Ferrari, it will begin another rebuild under new manager Frederick Vasseur. Mercedes were perfectly positioned to challenge Verstappen and Red Bull in 2023. Hamilton hoped to regain the 8th title he lost upon his death in 2021. Another gem of Russell's appearance in Hamilton vs. Japan is an exciting prospect. Next year, we'll see many fierce battles between Red Bull and Ferrari teammates. Mercedes is on top. Mercedes will ensure Russell and Hamilton work together to achieve the best possible result for the race weekend. Along with their team chemistry, Mercedes has plenty of time to introduce many updates over the winter. Make sure the W14 pops out of the box. By the time you have got to the end of the season, you would have raced on many circuits. Mercedes have revealed the late-season updates they are doing are intended to support the direction of the car for 2023. It will be postponed when design issues are discovered for this year, which was planned. The car's DNA will change for next year, Wolff said. This doesn't necessarily mean that our bodies will look completely different, but part of the car's DNA. Indeed, the architecture of the car will change next year. You should pretty much understand all the issues raised at the Mercedes season briefing. He adds that the team was still grappling with issues that made his W13 less competitive in some circuses. Team members are no longer wondering about new problems and are finally able to anticipate them. Mercedes has confirmed that the W13 bug will not carry over to its 2023 W14. We have worked hard over the past few months to guarantee that right now we're on track. And in some of the later updates, especially those that Austin brought, you'll see the front of his excavator notebook is a little closer. They've been working on renewals all year, but renewals have already been banned for next season. The FIA has banned Mercedes' front wing design for the upcoming 2023 F1 season. Wings, which did not race, was part of an upgrade package the team took to the United States Grand Prix to fix problems with the W13 engine. The new slot separator is hypothesized to improve aerodynamic performance by scavenging air. Slot gap generators are allowed but had to be used for mechanical design or measurement purposes. To minimize uncertainty, the FIA has increased restrictions in this area. Mercedes was allowed to build the concept with the help of the FIA. The outdated wording in the technical regulations only stated that a slot gap generator was required to connect successive front wing profiles. According to new standards, constructive connections between successive profiles are now required. The team led the wing in training in Mexico to avoid rivals filing protests. But they didn't commit to racing for the season in qualifying or Grand Prix. And now grand pianos are officially banned. Mercedes needs to find the right balance of innovative updates and avoid the FIA banning updates. As mentioned in the video, Mercedes is a team to watch next season. They have the right pairing of drivers to support each other so the team can bring them back to success. Do you think Mercedes will win the upcoming year? Does Mercedes think they can return to the top of the grid in 2023 and challenge Red Bull and Ferrari for the title? Hope 2023 will be the year when we see Mercedes triumph on the big stage again.